Hello and welcome to Group Facilitation University. My name's Ali from Cali and I'm your resident group facilitation expert. All right, so this is GFU, right? Group Facilitation University. That sounds a lot like a vulgar acronym, which I didn't want to be the launching point for this episode, but I just can't get it out of my head. It sounds like GTFO. GFU sounds like GTFO, which means get the freak off, right? And what that reminds me of is how many people I actually want to quit in this field. Why, you might say? There's so many people who need services. Yes, there's a lot of people who need services and they deserve quality services. Too many people in this field, including the owners and the program directors and everything, right? Like that. Many of them, not all, don't go there with me. Many of them are so complacent in just this revolving door model of treatment. And I cannot stand it. As someone who was a former participant in groups, loved doing my groups, had very mixed experiences, but I also had some great experiences, and who is now a provider facilitating, running the groups, worked with hundreds of clients each year for the past few years. And I've heard a lot of things. I've also been at different facilities running groups, and let's just say I know the tea. So yeah, GTFO in terms of get the freak out or, get the freak off. Like if this isn't for you, it's not for you. I know you were hired, but if you have a heart, please leave if you are not ready to up level, okay? The old model is on its way out, okay? It's already heading out in terms of just being able to jump in and say you work in the field, okay, right? And just do groups. We're requiring training now, all right? We're requiring people who really don't want to just sit in and have people chit chat. All right, so let's get started. Hi, who is it? Can you please check to see who's at the door? Sorry, just 1 second, guys. Yeah, what did they give you? Put it right there. Confidential, okay. Who was it? They just left us at the door? Oh, I know exactly what this is. Don't worry. I know exactly what this is. So just a reminder of some notes that I had and some ideas. There was a book that I read in high school. I was really into reading business books, and one of them was Blue Ocean Strategy. It's all about how to create something in the market where there's less competition, and there's a whole framework. And I use this Blue Ocean Strategy for so many ideas and so many projects. And I'm going to use them to show you why so many people in this field need to GTFO, because they're not ready to do this. And this is what we need. I've already done this, and the success that I've seen from so many client testimonials, which I can't fully share because it's confidential, but if you know, you know, and I'm going to show you why. So I'm going to explain this to you. No one else is doing this. And if they are, they're a very rare breed. So let's talk about Blue Ocean Strategy. And I'm going to be looking at these notes here and there because I need to get everything for you guys. So I am paraphrasing, but in the model of Blue Ocean Strategy, they say there's certain things that you need to raise or increase in this industry or for this product or for this service to make it stand out, right? The next one is decrease. Like what needs to be reduced to make things more efficient or just to make it better, right? So that's decrease. Third is add. What needs to be introduced into this arena that no longer exists or that doesn't already exist, that will, again, make it better, make it more interesting, make it more useful, make it more attractive, whatever. And lastly, we have eliminate. I could do a whole video on eliminate it. I'm not going to get into everything that needs to be eliminated in this video. Just know it's a lot. Okay, so this makes sense to you, right? This is Blue Ocean Strategy. I should draw a shark I know I had a blue marker. You know what? Let me just draw one here. How do you draw a shark? Okay, so, oh, I shouldn't have drawn the sharks. Oh, we're gonna do this. No sharks, because we're trying to get clear waters, right? Okay, so going to the first one, I wanna make sure I do this word for word. Okay, ooh, I don't even know which category I wanna start with. Let's start with decrease. Actually, let's start with the eliminate. Let's start with eliminate because these are things that a lot of people watching this are familiar with. So I'm just going to remove them for you so they're no longer obstacles for you actually being effective and engaging and useful. All right. Okay, no more boring groups. I know that treatment can be redundant. I know that coming in week after week, or maybe even every day, maybe multiple times a day if you're in residential, you're not always going to be excited to participate in a group. A client's not always going to be excited. However, that doesn't mean that you should just settle into being boring. And a lot of you guys don't know that you're boring because you guys also don't value client feedback. You kind of have this attitude of, oh, you're in treatment, so just you're here for a reason, just deal with whatever and just wrong. Okay, I'm gonna leave this point alone. A lot of your guys' groups are just plain boring. It's ridiculous. I know the tea. All right. All right, sitting and chit chat. There are some community support groups, for example, Celebrate Recovery, right? That's a support group that's based on an individual sharing. There may be a topic or it just may be a timeshare, 4 minutes maybe, where someone is just sharing whatever's on their heart for that day. Okay, when we're in a group setting in treatment, and a lot of this can go with like group coaching too, you don't want to that's not what you want to do because it's going to make you not want to continue participating. Or if you have to participate, it's going to make you participate very passively. So let's eliminate that. All right, number 3, not preparing. I know people are now starting to use ChatGPT to do an outline. I guess y'all should have always been doing outlines. That's the crazy part, right? That's the insane part. But because you're not familiar with how to do an outline, because like ChatGPT is thinking for you, you're not even able to use the outline well. So literally less than 1% of the people I've come across, several tens of counselors, they don't use an outline. They barely prep. What they do is like maybe think of a question, maybe print out a worksheet, and just come prepared, right? You're gonna learn how to prepare in GFU, Group Facilitation University, but let's eliminate this, okay? Eliminate. All right, let's go to raise. I think this is a good place to go. Let's go to raise. Standards. All right, I know that your employer, I know that your boss allows you to just do whatever. I know that they don't check in with you to see what you're really doing. And when they do, you doing whatever they say is acceptable. I know. But no, I'm telling you no. As someone who has raised the standard and seen the results, first of all, I never was comfortable with the low standard, but I definitely was going to continue with it because I had a deep commitment to actually facilitating change. Okay, I wanted to create an experience where I could actually see aha moments and people learning things and them saying like, this was really helpful. So let's raise the standard. If you are in this field, a lot of people, they get this very unearned badge of honor to say that when people say, oh, you work in that field, must be so rewarding. You work with those people, must be so rewarding. A lot of the people who are able to say, yeah, it is rewarding, haven't earned the privilege to say that it's rewarding because they haven't put in the effort. All right, so that's an example of where just being associated with something, there's benefits. Because a lot of people didn't earn those benefits, they just have it by association, and being able to say that they work in a certain field or with a certain population. You haven't earned it because maybe you completed school and you've been showing up to work, but that's it. A lot of people complete school. There's nothing special about that. But do you actually deliver results? Are you actually effective? Think about it. All right, multimedia. And I'm not just talking about putting on a video for the whole group. Here and there, when I have a very, very well thought out reason for playing a video or a video that's extremely interesting, not just playing Pleasure Unwoven for an entire group, okay? Pleasure Unwoven is very helpful. Has a lot of information, but it's very boring, and it doesn't have language that is very easily accessible for most clients. So that's for the addiction field. But if you work in a different setting, mental health, eating disorder, something like that, there might be videos that you play, but don't do it to be lazy. We all need a break sometimes, and a video can help with that. But a lot of people don't really think through the videos that they're playing, and they don't even know how to actually incorporate them well. It's just a sign that they didn't want to run group that day, and it's very obvious. So what I mean by multimedia, so bring in videos, maybe bring in short clips is a more useful strategy. But if you're going to bring in a longer video, you really need to have a full purpose behind it. It better not be just pure laziness, which I've seen you guys, it is. And also bring in pictures, bring in presentations, short presentations, not like full thorough lectures, but sometimes I push that a little bit just because I know that my clients are more capable than what they think that they are, but you have to break it down so simply and have pictures and images and a video clip. And there's some presentations that are rockstar presentations that I have that people have loved so much. It's because it included a lot of different perspectives and quotes and anecdotes and things like that with corresponding pictures and maybe video clips. So multimedia is something important to bring in. Okay, sensory, I mean like sensory engagement. So things for a client to feel, whether you are even just having like a card, something for them to write on, even just a deck of cards for them to look through and choose something. I remember one time I brought in Play-Doh and it was just very short. I'm like, here, choose your Play-Doh. And they're like, why are you doing this? Do you know what the word malleable means? They're like, what? And they're just playing with the Play-Doh, which is malleable. And that's how I introduced the topic of neuroplasticity in a very broken down, easy to understand way, where of course there's still going to be some questions, but that's just anything sensory, anything where you can feel. If you're talking about resilience, I love to bring in the rocks. The rocks are not anything super special. It's just to be able to feel. And so they could really connect even emotionally. Oh, this is resilience. So these are some things that we need to raise. All right, let's talk about decrease. Okay, a downward arrow because we need to decrease. Number one, do not do the same check-in every day. Do not use the same check-in question every single day. And make sure your check-in is not how are you doing. I usually do that. I stopped doing that. Just like a basic greeting people is one thing, but having that be your check-in question, no. Maybe once a week, but not over and over and over again. A basic check-in question is just setting expectations for the group that they're going to be boring and that they're going to be something that you have to get through. And that's not how you want your groups to be. No basic check-in question. Keep it fresh. Okay, a lot of times you don't even need to do a check-in question. What I like to do is a temperature check with a very specific kind of question. A temperature check, for example, one of my favorite questions is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how optimistic are you feeling? That tells me more than how are you doing, because most people are going to say good, and there might be that one person who's not doing good. So change your basic check-in question to a warm-up question / temperature check question, and make sure it's different each time. And actually, some of these are kind of go into this category. Some of the eliminate. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna leave that one there because a lot of these actually go under here as well. So let's talk about what we're adding and what you weren't taught in school. Creativity. Okay, you do not have to be a singer in training, songwriter, amateur chef to be creative, okay? What you can be, though, is someone who rejects this, saying no to this, increasing this, and being a problem solver. That's all you need to be creative. I am kind of on the extreme end of creativity because creativity is my love language as well as many forms of art. But creativity just means going a step above, saying, hey, our topic today is how to manage anger in relationships, how to manage anger with your family, okay? Instead of just saying, okay, yeah, hey, coworker, yeah, hey, what you doing for group today? Yeah, what's the topic? We're talking about how to manage anger with family. That's the topic on schedule. Cool, what are you doing for group? Yeah, we're going to talk. I might play a video. And then you're like scrambling, trying to find a question. Then you get into group. The first thing you do, what do? A basic check-in. Okay, tell me how you're feeling today. All right, okay, yeah. So now we're going to talk about how to manage anger with your family. How do you manage anger with your family? We're decreasing that. We're eliminating that. That is so boring. That is boring. That is sitting and chatting, and that is lack of preparation. Yes, you have to have time to discuss and process and whatever, communicate. But for that, you are relying on the group to do your job for you. I posted a video about this. I mentioned it in several other videos. A lot of facilitators get away with all of this stuff that I'm discussing with you and just having these mediocre, very boring, sucky groups, because the best thing about a group is not even the facilitator, but a facilitator can enhance it so much. It's the other people in the group who you have the shared bond with because you're all there for the same reason. You all are in a confidential space where you may not be sharing that you're here with other people. So that's what that shared bond, and the group running itself is what makes a lot of facilitators think that they're doing something when they ain't really doing nothing. So add creativity by way of activities, by way of multimedia, bringing in sensory engagement, creative even questions, not just asking a question like that, figuring out just a cooler way to ask that question. For example, how to manage anger with family. What you could do instead is read off a vignette or a scenario and say, hey, how would you respond to this? I'm trying to make sure I don't mark my beautiful pink sweater. You know, here's a scenario, and you read it, and it's a creative scenario, maybe that you created. I have a whole list of vignettes for my groups. How would you respond to this? Or do you agree with this, or do you not? Okay, I think you get it. All right. Okay, group rules. The reason I didn't put this in Raise is because people say that they have group rules, but they're not discussing them at the beginning of groups. It doesn't have to be every single group, but especially when you have new people, and also periodically to remind people of the rules. And also, the rules are not being enforced. Group rules are super important. There was this crazy counselor who I knew, her clients would complain about her all the time. And let me be careful how I say this. When clients are complaining, I just give them a space to process and provide support. A lot of people are so immature, they use it as a time to feed their ego or even as a time to gossip with clients. That's not me at all, and that shouldn't be you either. But this crazy person who's a psycho would, you can't do this, can't do that, would kick people out of the group, would make them just sit like prisoners in the group. And this person's still doing that to this day. I guarantee you, because they did way worse things, but just, this is not jail. But this person, they got out of prison and they have no professional work experience, and they also are a crazy person. Even if you're just getting out of incarceration, doesn't mean you're a terrible person. Also doesn't mean you can't be a great facilitator, but this person has no reference for just being a friendly, reasonable person, and they literally treat the clients in their group like they're in jail, and it's absolutely insane. So yeah, group rules, I'm not telling you to be super strict in terms of it's just an uncomfortable place, it feels like jail, it feels like a punishment to be there. No, this is an opportunity to get better. This should be something that you look forward to. And you look forward to it if it's not boring, if you're not just sitting and chit-chatting. And it's so obvious, the group facilitators who don't prepare, or there's some who go over a worksheet for the entire thing and they don't even do it well. So group rules need to be read at the beginning of the group. They need to be intentional to keep people safe. You need to remind people that's what's said in group stays in group. You need to talk about, food and drinks and chit chat, no crosstalk, things like that. So, yes. Okay, insight. Clients don't want to go there to waste their time and sit in this. This is ridiculous. Okay, here and there, this is not okay, but they could deal with that here and there. But if the program is based on this and this, okay, they actually want to hear from someone. They actually want to hear insight. And I know a lot of you guys don't have insight because you are trying to pretend like you're an expert on the topic of the day, but you're not. First of all, some of you guys just don't need to be running groups. I hope this encourages you, not to discourage you like, oh, I'm such a terrible facilitator, but encourage you that once you realize that you're not that great of a facilitator, to just go and do something else, because you're wasting everyone's time, right? What I mean by insight is they actually want to learn something. They actually want to learn. Actually, let me add raise. I'm going to add education. I think I had it on there but missed it. They actually want to learn. I'm not talking about lecture style. I'm not talking about you reading a freaking pamphlet. I'm talking about leaving the group and being like, wow, I learned something. Hi guys. Okay. That's this. Why am I doing this? Because I am such a clown, or rather this camera is a clown, because it stopped at like one of the most important parts. Here is our chart, and we were talking about insight here. Okay, so I guess the camera just turned off, or it went to sleep. So I am just going to finish up the point here. There's only like 2 minutes left of this training. If you enjoyed this training, please leave me a comment below. Contact me, share, and also join Fire Facilitator, my mentorship program. But yeah, clients don't want to waste their time. They actually want to learn something. And the facilitators that they appreciate the most are the ones that they learn something from. And the way to actually learn something is not just the insight portion, but it's also all these techniques, right? Sensory engagement, creativity, multimedia, to actually reinforce knowledge. But what I was saying is that we are not experts on all of the topics on the group schedule. We're probably not even an expert on one. We can become an expert, and we don't need to do that. What we can do is be knowledge brokers, and I will teach you how to do that in the mentorship program, how to take other people's knowledge. I'm going to teach you how to get good knowledge that's actually credible and a quality source to use. You take that knowledge and you create some sort of curriculum for the group around it. And it doesn't have to be detailed. This doesn't have to be intimidating. You could take one piece of knowledge. You could take even a quote and develop, find a clip to go along with that quote. Find a picture to discuss. There's many ways that you can take someone else's knowledge who's actually an expert. Okay, you're going to use them as a source and you're going to give them credit and bring that into the group, because people actually do want to learn. They want to be able to go home and tell their family or their spouse, hey, we talked about this. Have you ever heard about this? My counselor explained it. Okay, it's actually very, very an important part of a memorable group. Okay, and not only that, I'm not talking about a lecture-based class. I'm not talking about, oh, you're in college now. Not talking about that, but they do need to actually learn something. So thank you so much for watching this. Share it with a facility who needs to up level. And I'm not doing this to make people feel bad. I need people to just get honest with themselves. If this is not your thing, you're missing out on your purpose, okay? But if you feel like you do feel called to this work of being in behavioral health and facilitating groups, here's how to actually do it well. And I have more resources on my channel. Thank you. Signing out, Ali from Cali.